It's good to remember that Yale is a competitive place. And as I sat down, imagine my surprise when there was a sheaf of typed notes pulled out to the side of me, whereas I thought I would speak somewhat extemporaneously. And of course, to my surprise, I'm seated between two presidents. Which is swell.
Now you're making fun of us. We'll pay for that.
So my background is engineering, and I went to what's now the School of Engineering and Applied Science. And I have to say that some of the comments made earlier don't seem to necessarily apply as much in engineering and applied science. I was in the school from about 1980 to 1984. And in engineering, at least, you tend to be organized with research professors. You tend to see your fellow classmates or research group members on a daily basis in a lab, or perhaps in preparing a lab for students for teaching. And there's just a lot of daily interaction with everybody. So we're not kind of lone asteroids wandering around the Yale universe. We are really a collective family. And that family was very, very important to me in terms of learning how to study, learning how to do research, and that's really what I think, for me, graduate school is all about, was kind of taking that next step to teaching myself. Since then, I was a faculty member at Columbia. I went to work for the government for a while. I ran a couple of businesses. I'm back in a university environment, and I was trying to think what is special about the Yale Graduate School. And I started getting worried because actually in the School of Engineering and Applied Science, we have at that time, had fairly little interaction with the graduate school. I remember coming in, I remember depositing my thesis, and in between, maybe a few trips to HGS to visit some friends, but not too much in between. But inside the engineering school was a very strong, supportive environment, which I really appreciate. And I was trying to think what was different about Yale compared to my time at Columbia with my students, or my time at Dartmouth now, or my time in other endeavors. And one of the things that I thought about was really special about Yale is that I found Yale to be a nurturing environment rather than a more Darwinian environment. And what I mean is that at Columbia, for example, and I don't mean to pick on Columbia, but at Columbia they would admit a lot of graduate students in engineering, of course I'm talking about. And then after a year or so, between rigorous coursework and a very difficult examination, they would really weed out, well, that's probably the wrong term. They would probably ask about half those students to leave. I don't remember the exact statistics, but it was a very large fraction. And their philosophy was, well, you know, if we put these students to these tests and they survive, they must be really good. Whereas at Yale, I found a different environment, which was that over the course of the first year, the professors took note of where your areas of strength were and where your areas of weakness were. And then after a year, they kind of sit down and talk with you and try to strengthen those areas where you're weak, to try to make you kind of strong across a wide range of areas. Sometimes even prescribing courses you need to take that you didn't think you had to take. And so that kind of nurturing environment is something that I took with me beyond Yale. Of course, I tried to apply it amongst my own graduate research group at Columbia, but also even going to Jet Propulsion Lab and then in business, I found that it really is a very valuable skill to be very careful about who you hire, but once they're in the door, really try to nurture them and find out what their true skill sets are, what they're good at. If they're not quite succeeding in the first thing that you assign them to, maybe try to find something else. Now, I'm not that liberal. I've certainly fired my fair share of employees that didn't work out. But I think it's really worthwhile to really take the time to try to find out what people are good at and to put them in the right position. I think that really counts a lot. And so this, I think, is really the strength that stands out in my mind about my experience at Yale Graduate School. Thank you.